From a sharecropper's shack in rural Mississippi to global stages where presidents, artists, and world leaders paused to listen, the life of Oprah Gail Winfrey unfolds like a modern American myth. A quiet story of resilience, reinvention, and extraordinary influence. Born in 1954 into deep poverty, Oprah's earliest memories were shaped by red dirt roads, cotton fields stretching toward the horizon, and the echoing voices of a small southern church. By the age of 3, she could recite Bible verses from memory, standing before the congregation with a confidence far beyond her years. They called her the preacher, unaware that this child's voice would one day reach hundreds of millions. But destiny did not arrive gently. Oprah was sent from Mississippi to Milwaukee, then later to Nashville, navigating instability, trauma, and the invisible weight carried by children who grow up too fast. In a world that often failed to listen, she found refuge in words, and eventually behind a radio microphone, where her voice finally had space to exist. At just 19 years old, she became the youngest black news anchor in Tennessee. Yet it was not polished reporting that defined her future, but something far more human. Empathy. When a struggling Chicago morning show was placed in her hands, she transformed it not with spectacle, but with sincerity. AM Chicago became The Oprah Winfrey Show, a program that would dominate American television for 25 years and permanently change how stories were told. What followed was more than fame. It was a media empire, a publishing revolution, and a legacy of philanthropy that stretched across oceans to educate and empower girls in South Africa. This is not just the story of success. It is the story of purpose. If you value calm, thoughtful history told as a story before sleep, consider subscribing to this channel. And as we begin this journey together, share your thoughts in the comments below, because every great story deserves to be heard and remembered. Chapter 1. A Mississippi Beginning. In the waning years of the segregated American South, on a cold January day in 1954, a child was born into poverty in the small rural town of Kosciuszko, Mississippi. The year was 1954, a world still shaped by Jim Crow laws, cotton fields, and a social order that confined black families to the margins of economic and civic life. Into this world came Oprah Gail Winfrey, a tiny infant born to an unmarried teenage mother, Vernita Lee, whose work as a housemaid offered few comforts and even fewer guarantees of stability. Almost immediately after her birth, Vernita Lee made the difficult decision to travel north in search of work and opportunity, leaving her daughter in the care of her own mother, Hattie Mae Presley Lee. It was with her grandmother on that small farm, with no indoor plumbing and little money, that young Oprah's earliest memories were formed. Hattie Mae Lee worked tirelessly, washing clothes over open pots, tending basic chores, and instilling in her granddaughter the rhythms of hard work and discipline. The family was so poor that Oprah often wore dresses made from potato sacks, a visible sign of the grinding poverty that marked her early years. But in that austere landscape, another kind of richness took shape. Hattie Mae taught Oprah to read before she was 3 years old, placing books and the Bible itself into the child's small hands. In the sanctuary of the faith-united Mississippi Baptist Church, the young girl discovered language as both refuge and power. She learned to stand before others and speak, reciting Bible verses with clarity and passion that belied her age. Other children began to call her the preacher, amazed that such a young child could command attention with her voice alone. In a corner of the segregated South, surrounded by cotton fields and poverty, the foundation of Oprah's future was quietly being laid. Her earliest lessons, dedication to words, the confidence to stand before others, and the anchoring influence of faith were rooted in these first 6 years. In a place where so many voices went unheard, hers already carried the promise of something far greater. Chapter 2. Between Two Worlds. It is the 6, a significant chapter in the age of 6. A significant chapter in Oprah Winfrey's life began, not on a cotton farm under an open southern sky, but in the crowded streets of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a city very different from rural Mississippi. In the mid-1960s, Milwaukee was an industrial hub of the North, pulsing with factories, buses, and the promise of jobs that drew many black families seeking a better life outside the segregated South. But for young Oprah, the change in scenery was only the beginning of a new set of challenges. Milwaukee's neighborhoods in that era were sharply divided by race and class. For Oprah, living with her mother, Vernita Lee, meant confronting an urban landscape that offered little support for children like her, children of single mothers struggling to make ends meet. Vernita worked long hours as a housemaid, and her time at home was limited. The consistent presence and firm structure that Oprah had known with her grandmother were replaced by unpredictability and emotional distance. With few adults nearby to supervise or nurture, Oprah began to experience the harsh realities of hardship in an inner-city environment. The psychological contrast between life in Mississippi and life in Milwaukee could not have been more pronounced. In Mississippi, discipline was strict but defined, shaped by church gatherings and the rhythm of farm work. In Milwaukee, the rhythms were chaotic. Crowded apartment buildings, streets filled with unfamiliar sights and sounds, and few safe spaces for a young child to retreat. The church, once central to her days, was no longer the steady heartbeat of her life. Instead, Oprah found herself navigating a world where neglect was commonplace and adult attention was hard to come by. As she grew older, the emotional strain of these early experiences deepened. According to later accounts, she endured traumatic events during her adolescence, experiences she would publicly reflect on years later. These early years in Milwaukee, filled with both longing and loss, left an indelible mark on her psyche, revealing the profound vulnerability of a child left to fend for herself in a bustling city that offered little comfort. Yet within this adversity, something persistently survived. The part of Oprah that found meaning in voice, story, and expression. Even amid turmoil, she continued to seek affirmation and connection, often through words, imagination, and the simple desire to be heard. This period of her life would shape not only her character, but also her future commitment to empathy and the power of personal narrative. Chapter 3. Finding Her Voice. When Oprah Winfrey's life shifted to Nashville, Tennessee, she entered a world that felt, in many ways, more orderly than the chaotic years she had just left behind. Here, in a city framed by rolling hills and the low hum of small-town streets, she moved in with her father, Vernon Winfrey, a man determined that his daughter's early promise would not be swallowed by instability. Vernon had worked as a barber and in small businesses, and he believed in a simple but firm philosophy. Education is the path to freedom. Under his roof, discipline was strict, but it was the supportive kind, one that expected effort, rewarded progress, and demanded responsibility. Oprah would later look back on this period as a turning point, one that planted the seeds of her future voice. At East Nashville High School, Oprah quickly distinguished herself as a bright and driven student. She excelled academically, joined the speech and drama clubs, and became an honors student admired by classmates and teachers alike. In a world still marked by racial segregation and limited opportunities for Black teenagers, she stood out not because she was untouched by hardship, but because she used her experiences as fuel to grow. Teachers encouraged her expressive talent. Classmates recognized her charm, eventually voting her the most popular girl in school. It was during these years that Oprah's voice, already strong in church and family gatherings, found its first professional outlet. At 17, while still in high school, she entered and won beauty pageants such as Miss Black Tennessee, achievements that brought her both confidence and visibility. Soon afterward, she wandered into a local Nashville radio station, WVOL, initially hoping to pick up a prize for a charity walkathon. Those behind the microphone heard a voice that was clear, emotive, and more compelling than most seasoned announcers. They offered her a part-time job reading the news on air, marking the very beginning of a broadcasting career. Oprah accepted the job, and every time she stepped into the studio, scripts in hand, microphone before her, she learned something larger than how to read the news. She discovered that her voice could do more than carry information. It could connect, move, and resonate with people she would never meet. The studio became a kind of sanctuary, a place where her past struggles began to feel like preparation rather than burden. In those early broadcasts, she was experimenting with tone, timing, and authenticity, skills that would later transform talk show television itself. But more than that, she realized something fundamental. Her voice was not just a tool. It was a gateway, an entrance into a world that had once seemed unreachable, and a means of escape from the limits of her upbringing. In the quiet of the radio booth, surrounded by cables and soundproof walls, Oprah Winfrey began to understand her true calling. Chapter 4. Upward Momentum. In the early 1970s, as the air in Nashville carried the distant hum of music and civil rights momentum from nearby Memphis, Oprah Winfrey stood at the threshold of a new phase in her life. She had moved from a tumultuous adolescence into the disciplined world of higher education at Tennessee State University, a historically Black institution where young minds were encouraged to speak boldly and think deeply. It was here, surrounded by professors and peers eager to explore the power of communication, that she found both academic purpose and renewed confidence in her own voice. Oprah arrived at TSU on a full scholarship, having already demonstrated exceptional talent in speech, drama, and public performance. Her coursework focused on speech communications and performing arts, fields that mirrored the instinct she had long felt, that her voice could be more than mere sound. It could carry meaning, influence, and connection. While still a sophomore, she began to balance classroom study with early experiences in mass media. In 1973, at just 19 years old, Oprah broke new ground by becoming the youngest news anchor and the first Black female co-anchor at Nashville's CBS affiliate station, then known as WLAC-TV, now WTDF. Sitting behind the news desk, her presence challenged both visible and invisible boundaries of race, age, and expectation. For viewers in Tennessee, her voice offered something fresh, not merely the reading of facts, but the possibility of representation in a medium that had long been dominated by voices that did not look like hers. Yet the very qualities that made Oprah compelling, her warmth, empathy, and emotional depth, would soon clash with the rigid conventions of traditional broadcast news. At a time when journalistic objectivity was prized above all, producers sometimes viewed her expressiveness as a liability rather than an asset. She found herself constrained by the formal demands of news reporting, where detachment was valued and personal connection was discouraged. In that environment, the natural ease with which she engaged with people, especially those from marginalized communities, could feel out of place. The turning point came when station leadership decided that her strengths might be better suited to other formats. No longer confined to the evening news, she was transitioned out of traditional reporting and toward roles that allowed her voice to breathe more freely. While at first it felt like a professional setback, in retrospect it became a pivotal moment. A new path had begun, one that would eventually lead Oprah from delivering scripted headlines to facilitating heartfelt conversations that touched millions of lives. In that shift, the seeds of her later genius were planted, a rare blend of curiosity, compassion, and the courage to speak truth not just to the public, but to the human heart. Chapter 5: Chicago Calling. Long before Oprah Winfrey was a household name, she made a decision that would change the trajectory of her life and, ultimately, of American television. Leaving behind the familiarity of Baltimore and the regional respect she had earned there, Oprah relocated to Chicago, Illinois, the nation's third-largest media market at that time. She had been recruited by WLS-TV to host a modest, struggling morning talk show called AM Chicago, a half-hour program that rarely registered in the ratings and was overshadowed by established competitors. On January 2nd, 1984, she took the helm of a show that few outside Chicago knew or cared existed. In the context of American television during the early 1980s, morning talk shows were largely predictable and bland, clusters of fluffy segments about fashion, cooking demonstrations, and upbeat but shallow banter. They existed to fill the hours between the news and the midday programming, not to provoke deep thought or meaningful conversation. Into this predictable broadcast environment stepped Oprah, a woman born in Mississippi, raised in the rural South and the industrial North, who brought with her a profoundly human and emotionally authentic style. From her very first weeks on AM Chicago, the transformation was unmistakable. Oprah didn't just interview guests, she listened to them. She didn't feign curiosity, she felt it. She greeted ordinary people and celebrities alike with a warmth and empathy that defied the hurt stubbornly rooted in her own past. Within a month of her hosting debut, AM Chicago had catapulted from last place in local ratings to first place, even surpassing the program hosted by Phil Donahue, a stalwart of daytime talk. Oprah didn't achieve this by imitating the established formula. Instead, she transformed it. She spoke not just as a host, but as a fellow human, someone who could articulate the questions and concerns her audience carried in their daily lives. Whether discussing personal struggles, family challenges, or social issues, she created a space that felt less like a studio and more like an intimate living room conversation. Her connection to viewers was immediate and profound. Station executives, initially uncertain what to expect, watched in awe as Oprah's audience grew week after week. What had been a struggling local talk show became the most watched program in Chicago's morning lineup in record time. Within 2 years, the show had been renamed The Oprah Winfrey Show, expanded to a full hour, and prepared for national syndication, laying the foundation for what would become one of the most influential and beloved television programs in American history. But those early days in Chicago, of warm greetings, candid conversations, and shared humanity, were where Oprah first discovered something deeper than success. She found her true calling, not merely to speak, but to connect, to help others see themselves more clearly, and in doing so, to see the world with a little more compassion than they had the day before. Chapter 6: The Oprah Winfrey Show. In the autumn of 1986, a singular moment in the history of American television quietly unfolded. On September 8, 1986, a nationally syndicated talk show bearing a single name, The Oprah Winfrey Show, aired for the first time, introducing a new voice in the living rooms of the United States and soon after, around the world. What began as a local Chicago talk show had grown into something extraordinary, a program that would redefine daytime television and with it, American cultural discourse. At the time, daytime television was predictable and formulaic. Most talk shows followed a set pattern: light entertainment, celebrity chatter, occasional tips on household matters. Into this landscape stepped Oprah Winfrey, no longer merely a sympathetic host, but a cultural translator, someone uniquely positioned to listen and respond with empathy, curiosity, and emotional honesty. The show was not just about questions and answers, it was about connection. Viewers across the country felt as if Oprah was speaking directly to them about their struggles, hopes, and aspirations. Syndicated nationally, The Oprah Winfrey Show quickly rose to prominence. It was not only the highest-rated daytime talk show in American television history, but also one of the longest-running, broadcasting 4,561 episodes over 25 seasons before concluding in May 2011. Its reach was vast. Millions of Americans tuned in daily, and by the height of its popularity, the show was seen in more than 130 countries. What set Oprah's program apart was not merely its star power, but its willingness to explore the realities of the human condition. While celebrities certainly appeared, it was often the stories of everyday people, survivors of abuse, individuals confronting illness, families navigating loss, that resonated most deeply. Oprah created a space where vulnerability did not signify weakness, but honesty and courage. Audiences saw their own experiences reflected back to them, not as spectacle, but as shared humanity. This shift gave rise to what many called a new television genre, one marked by self-reflection, emotional engagement, and personal growth rather than mere entertainment. One of the show's most enduring innovations was its book club, launched in the mid-1990s. A book recommendation from Oprah could lift an unknown author into bestseller status overnight, a phenomenon that became known as the Oprah effect. Beyond books, her endorsements sparked conversations on topics ranging from mental health to spiritual inquiry, political awareness to self-care, shaping public discourse across generations. The show also became a forum for cultural moments that would enter the national imagination: unforgettable interviews, poignant revelations, and episodic instances that shaped how millions understood themselves and others. Whether she was in heartfelt dialogue with individuals working through personal transformation or engaging with global leaders and thinkers, Oprah's presence remained consistently authentic, warm, and deeply inquisitive. For 25 years, audiences returned not out of routine, but out of trust. Trust that here was a space where they could confront joy and pain alike, where stories invited introspection and empathy, and where the act of watching became a communal experience. As the curtain fell on its final episode in 2011, the legacy of The Oprah Winfrey Show was not merely measured in ratings or awards. It was measured in the countless lives touched, conversations ignited, and hearts opened by a show that reimagined what television could be. Chapter 7: Transforming Media from Within. In the autumn of 1986, as The Oprah Winfrey Show began its remarkable ascent on national television, Oprah Winfrey made a decision that would distinguish her not just as a beloved host, but as a media owner and visionary. That year, she founded Harpo Productions, Inc., a company whose name was, in a playful palindrome, Oprah spelled backward. What seemed at first a simple business move was, in reality, a historic stride toward creative authority and economic agency previously rare in the entertainment industry, especially for a Black woman. Before Harpo, the story of television was largely written by the executives who controlled networks, studios, and syndication companies. On most talk shows, hosts, even those with charisma, insight, and cultural power, were employees. They spoke into cameras and read scripts, but the intellectual property, profit structures, and decisions about content remained elsewhere. Oprah, who had risen from poverty and adversity through sheer talent and determination, recognized that to shape her own narrative and legacy, she needed ownership. By establishing Harpo Productions, she not only gained control of her show, but also the means to tell many other stories on her own terms. In 1988, Harpo officially purchased The Oprah Winfrey Show from the original local station in Chicago and secured full syndication deals, giving Oprah both creative and financial stake in its success. No longer merely a host reliant on executive approval, she became a producer and entrepreneur, stewarding every aspect of the show's production through her own company. This shift was more than a personal triumph. It was a cultural milestone. At a time when few Black women held executive authority in Hollywood or broadcast media, Oprah's ownership of Harpo signaled that storytelling power could be reclaimed and redefined by voices long excluded from the boardrooms. Harpo did not remain a single-show enterprise. Under Oprah's leadership, it grew into a multifaceted media company. It launched Harpo Print, which co-published O, the Oprah magazine, produced films and television movies that highlighted diverse voices and perspectives, and eventually became a partner in the Oprah Winfrey Network, O, a cable and satellite channel dedicated to programming that informed, inspired, and engaged viewers in meaningful self-reflection and cultural conversation. The historical significance of Harpo lies not only in its commercial success, but in the precedent it set. A Black woman reclaiming the means of media production, shaping narratives from behind the camera as well as in front of it. Through Harpo, Oprah modeled a new paradigm in which storytellers could be both creators and custodians of their work, where media was not just a platform for voices, but a space owned and guided by them. Chapter 8: Acting and Storytelling Beyond Television. Long before Oprah Winfrey became the global media powerhouse known simply by her first name, she stepped into a different arena of storytelling, film, and visual narrative. In 1985, while The Oprah Winfrey Show was solidifying its place in American living rooms everywhere, Oprah took a bold leap into the world of cinema. She was cast as Sophia in Steven Spielberg's adaptation of The Color Purple, a novel by Alice Walker that had already become a touchstone of African American literature. This role marked her acting debut and would become one of the most defining artistic moments of her life. Set in the early 20th century American South, The Color Purple told the sweeping story of hardship, sisterhood, resilience, and emotional transcendence. Oprah's portrayal of Sophia, a strong-willed woman who refuses to be diminished by a brutal world, earned her widespread acclaim and an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress, a remarkable achievement for her first film role. In bringing Sophia to life, Oprah carried forward her profound understanding of human struggle and dignity, rooted in her own early experiences with adversity and empathy. Yet Oprah's engagement with film went far beyond acting. Through Harpo Films, an extension of her Harpo Productions company, she began to shape stories not merely as an interpreter, but as a creator and producer, one who could elevate narratives that grappled with significant cultural, historical, and emotional truths. Harpo Films produced adaptations and original works that explored social dynamics, family complexities, and the African American experience in nuanced ways. For instance, the psychological drama Beloved, 1998, based on Toni Morrison's acclaimed novel, starred Oprah and was the first film produced by Harpo Films, signaling her company's commitment to challenging and difficult material. Other projects under the Oprah Winfrey Presents banner, including Before Women Had Wings, 1997, and Amy and Isabel, 2001, reflected her interest in stories centered on familial bonds, trauma, healing, and self-realization. These films, often made for television but infused with cinematic depth, carried forward the same values Oprah brought to her talk show: empathy, reflection, and a willingness to confront life's harder truths with honesty and compassion. They offered audiences a different kind of mirror, one that invited them to see their own struggles within larger cultural and personal contexts. In later years, Oprah continued to bridge the worlds of media and visual storytelling, participating in films such as Selma, 2014, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, 2017, and others where her presence, whether on screen or behind it as producer, added texture and moral weight to widely seen narratives. Through acting and filmmaking, Oprah extended her lifelong commitment to stories that matter. On screen, she embodied characters shaped by history and hardship. Behind the camera, she championed storytellers and subjects often overlooked by mainstream cinema. In doing so, she affirmed that visual storytelling, like her earlier work in television, is not merely entertainment, but a medium for empathy, understanding, and social reflection, bridging individual experience with broader cultural conversation. Chapter 9. Oprah's Book Club. In the spring of 1996, at the height of her influence over American daytime audiences, Oprah Winfrey introduced a new initiative that would reach far beyond the boundaries of television. She called it Oprah's Book Club, a monthly segment on The Oprah Winfrey Show dedicated to exploring literature that moved her personally and, she hoped, would resonate with her viewers as deeply as it had with her. What began as a simple invitation to discover a well-written story soon transformed into a cultural phenomenon that reshaped the American publishing landscape and made reading itself a shared national experience. Oprah's selections were eclectic, ranging from contemporary novels to overlooked classics, and often centered on themes of resilience, identity, and human connection. Her endorsement carried a stamp of trust that few others in media could rival. Within weeks of her first selection, The Deep End of the Ocean by Jacqueline Mitchard leapt onto bestseller lists, far beyond anything the novel's publishers had anticipated. This meteoric rise was not an isolated event. Books chosen for the club repeatedly soared in sales, sometimes by hundreds of thousands or even millions of copies, significantly altering their commercial trajectories and bringing authors, both established and emerging, to national attention. Publishers quickly took notice. An endorsement from Oprah became one of the most coveted distinctions in the industry, so much so that some publishing houses reprinted books with special Oprah's Book Club editions, complete with branded covers to signal their selection to bookstores and readers alike. Titles that had languished in obscurity were suddenly everywhere, on display tables in major retailers and featured on reading lists across the country. The Oprah effect, the dramatic increase in sales and visibility following her recommendations, was born. Being chosen often meant not just immediate commercial success, but long-term cultural relevance, with certain works re-entering conversations and curricula for years to come. But the influence of Oprah's book club was not solely measured in numbers. While millions of copies were sold, its deeper impact emerged in the culture of reading itself. Millions of viewers, many of whom had not considered themselves readers, began to treat books as communal touchpoints, subjects of conversation rather than solitary pursuits. Bookstores reported increased foot traffic from people who wanted to be part of the conversation on the show. Reading, once seen by some as an isolated act, became a bridge that connected strangers through shared stories and ideas. Some libraries and community groups even formed local discussion circles inspired by the selections, environment where literature became a catalyst for reflection and dialogue. The cultural reach of the book club also extended to diversity and representation within publishing. Oprah often introduced works by authors of varied backgrounds, spotlighting voices that might otherwise have been overlooked in a crowded marketplace. Though not without critics, some argued that celebrity endorsements could concentrate attention on a narrow band of titles. The overall effect was clear. Oprah had turned reading into a shared cultural habit, transforming the way American audiences engaged with books and, in doing so, reaffirming the enduring power of narrative itself. Even after The Oprah Winfrey Show concluded in 2011, the legacy of the book club persisted. It was relaunched in new formats, including digital and broadcast partnerships that continued to bring great literature to global audiences, proving that a shared story can be as powerful as any spoken word on screen. Chapter 10: Philanthropy and Purpose. As The Oprah Winfrey Show grew into the biggest professional theatre, these relators betrayed as well has been considered the American theatre. As The Oprah Winfrey Show slipped state into these relators would turn, philanthropy and purpose. As The Oprah Winfrey Show grew into the biggest professional theatre, is include any marketer state that the Lord left her. If eject the philanthropy in the 1990s and 2000s, Oprah Winfrey's influence extended beyond entertainment into the realm of philanthropy and social purpose. Deeply shaped by her own experiences of poverty and adversity in childhood, she viewed success not as an endpoint, but as a platform for lifting others up. In the late 1980s and 1990s, as her career flourished, she began to weave charitable work into her public life, creating initiatives that reflected a belief in education, empowerment, and long-term transformation. One of her earliest organized philanthropic efforts was the Oprah Winfrey Foundation, established in 1987. Through it, she supported organizations that focused on women, children, families, and education, particularly scholarship programs and school initiatives that would create opportunities for those with talent but limited means. Over time, her philanthropic network expanded to include substantial donations to historically Black colleges and universities, libraries, and community development projects in the United States. In 1998, Oprah took philanthropy into a participatory new terrain with the launch of Oprah's Angel Network. This public charity encouraged her viewers to join in giving back, and through media broadcasts and annual fundraising events, the network raised more than $80 million. What distinguished Angel Network from many celebrity charitable efforts was Oprah's commitment to covering administrative costs herself, ensuring that 100% of donations could go directly to programs that supplied school supplies, built educational facilities, aided disaster relief, supported women's shelters, and created youth centers around the world. Perhaps the most ambitious and personally meaningful of her philanthropic endeavors began with a conversation in 2000 with then South African President Nelson Mandela about combating poverty and expanding educational opportunity. Inspired by the idea that education could level global inequalities, Oprah pledged to build a school for girls in South Africa. Young women who, like her, were academically gifted but economically disadvantaged. Construction of the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in Henley-on-Klip took several years, and the boarding school finally opened its doors in 2007. Designed to provide world-class academic and leadership training, the academy enrolls girls from all 9 provinces of South Africa, offering facilities, mentorship, and curriculum aimed at cultivating future leaders. Oprah's intention was not only to educate, but to empower young women to influence their communities and nations for good.
Critics have occasionally questioned the expense of such efforts, particularly regarding perceived luxuries on campus.
But Oprah responded that a nurturing, beautiful environment invites students to realize their own dignity and potential, a philosophy in keeping with her belief that empowerment begins with respect. In addition to international work, Oprah's charitable philosophy translated into domestic action. She funded scholarships, built schools in underserved communities, and supported legislation to protect children, including advocacy efforts that helped pass a National Child Protection Act in the United States. Across these initiatives, a central theme emerges. Oprah's view of philanthropy is not about short-term aid, but lasting empowerment. She has often said that giving back is a responsibility of success, that lifting others up is an extension of the story that life has given her. In this way, her philanthropic work mirrors her media legacy, rooted in empathy, driven by possibility, and committed to transforming not just individual lives, but the conditions that shape them.
Chapter 11. A network of her own. By the early 2000s, Oprah Winfrey's influence in television was formidable. She had transformed a struggling daytime talk show into The Oprah Winfrey Show, one of the most beloved and culturally impactful programs in American history. But Oprah's ambitions extended beyond daytime television and syndicated programming. She wanted a platform of her own, a network that could carry her voice, her values, and her vision for storytelling into every corner of the cable landscape. Her first venture into this territory came in 1998, when she became one of the founding investors in Oxygen Media, a cable network launched with the intention of serving modern women with lifestyle and entertainment programming. The network debuted in February 2000, alongside partners including media veterans Geraldine Laybourne and Marcy Carsey, among others. Though Oprah held a stake and even contributed some content, Oxygen ultimately did not reflect her voice or her creative intentions in the way she had hoped. She later described the experience as a valuable lesson. You need to be in control if you want to shape what your audience sees and hears. That realization helped pave the way for Oprah's next, more personal venture, a cable network entirely her own. The idea of what would become the Oprah Winfrey Network, ON, first took shape years earlier, around 1992, when Oprah and her longtime partner Stedman Graham joked about how the confrontational talk shows of the era could be replaced by something more uplifting. He scribbled Oprah Winfrey Network on a piece of paper, noticing that its initials spelled the word OOWN, a name that stayed with her for years. The formal announcement came in January 2008, when Oprah and media giant Discovery Communications revealed a joint venture to create a new network dedicated to programming designed to entertain, inspire, and inform. Discovery contributed the Discovery Health Channel, the platform that OWN would replace, while Harpo Productions offered Oprah's brand, her content library, and her vision. Oprah would serve as chairwoman, with direct influence over programming and creative direction. OWN officially launched on January 1, 2011, reaching roughly 80 million homes in the United States
and introducing a slate of original shows rooted in storytelling, self-reflection, and cultural conversation. Early offerings included behind-the-scenes retrospectives, talk-driven series, and programs aimed at opening up dialogues about life, relationships, and personal growth. Even archived episodes from The Oprah Winfrey Show appeared, linking the new network to the legacy that had made Oprah a household name. Yet the transition from daytime dominance to cable leadership was not seamless. OWN faced early challenges that tested both its structure and Oprah's vision. In its initial years, the network struggled with ratings and struggled to define its identity in a crowded media landscape.
Some early programs, including high-profile talk shows produced for the channel, failed to connect with audiences as hoped, leading to programming reshuffles and executive changes. Critics noted that even Oprah's considerable star power could not guarantee immediate success in a field where viewer habits were evolving rapidly. But in those early struggles lay crucial lessons about leadership, patience, and adaptation. Oprah and her team gradually re-examined programming choices, brought in experienced executives, and emphasized content that more clearly reflected the network's core mission: storytelling that speaks to the best aspects of human experience. Over time, OWN found its footing, building a mix of reality, lifestyle, and scripted content that resonated with viewers seeking authenticity rather than artifice. In the larger narrative of Oprah Winfrey's career, OWN stands as both an ambition realized and a reminder of the complexities of media ownership. It illustrates that even a visionary with unparalleled influence must learn to navigate market forces, audience expectations, and organizational change. In doing so, however, Oprah reaffirmed her belief in media as a space for meaning, a place where voices are not just broadcast, but listened to, and where a network can reflect not just entertainment, but empathy and purpose. Chapter 12: Leadership Beyond the Screen. In the arc of Oprah Winfrey's life and career, acclaim and recognition eventually became more than symbols of individual success. They reflected her deep cultural, social, and ethical impact on American society and beyond. For more than 3 decades, her work in media, philanthropy, and public engagement made Oprah not just a television personality, but a moral figure in the public imagination, someone whose voice carried both influence and responsibility. One of the most significant recognitions of her life's work came in 2013, when President Barack Obama awarded Oprah Winfrey the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the United States. Traditionally bestowed upon individuals whose contributions have greatly advanced national interests, world peace, cultural achievements, or public or private endeavors, this medal acknowledged Oprah's profound influence on American culture and society, from reshaping media discourse to championing education and compassion on a broad scale. Earlier honors also signaled her emergence as a leader far beyond entertainment. In 2010, she was named a Kennedy Center honoree, an accolade reserved for those who have made lifetime contributions to American culture through the performing arts. In 2002, she received the Bob Hope Humanitarian Award, recognizing her humanitarian contributions in television and beyond. She has also earned multiple Daytime Emmy Awards, a Golden Globe Cecil B. DeMille Award for Lifetime Achievement, and many others that reflect both artistic accomplishment and social impact. Oprah's influence extended into the political realm as well, though she rarely sought public office or formal power. In 2008, she made headlines when she publicly endorsed then-Senator Barack Obama during the Democratic primaries, an act widely credited with energizing voters and contributing to his eventual nomination and election.
Her presence on the campaign trail drew impressive crowds, highlighting the unique ability her voice had to mobilize and inspire. Yet it was not partisan politics that defined Oprah's public leadership, but rather her insistence on conversation, reflection, and moral engagement. On her platforms, she tackled topics that other media often avoided: racial justice, systemic inequality, mental health, and the internal life of ordinary citizens. In 2020, she hosted a two-part discussion on George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement, centering voices on race, systemic oppression, and the nation's unfinished work toward equality. Her role as moderator showcased a commitment to confronting deep and uncomfortable truths with compassion and rigor. Oprah's awards and public engagements collectively reflect a life spent bridging the personal and the political, honored not just for what she created, but for how she encouraged others to see themselves and each other.
In a world often fragmented by division and distraction, she became a symbol of ethical leadership in the public sphere, a voice that reminded millions that empathy, curiosity, and moral reflection are not just personal virtues, but foundations for collective life. Her legacy, therefore, is neither merely celebrity nor fame, but a persistent invitation to deeper awareness, connection, and shared humanity. Chapter 13. The Inner Life of Oprah. Beyond the glare of studio lights and the cadence of broadcast cameras lies a quieter and more intimate realm of Oprah Winfrey's life, one shaped by personal reflection, spiritual inquiry, and a long-term partnership defined more by mutual growth than by traditional labels. While the world saw her as a cultural phenomenon and media force, those closest to her knew that her inner world was a rich landscape of questions about identity, purpose, and connection. In 1986, the same year the Oprah Winfrey Show began its transformation into a national institution, Oprah met Stedman Graham at a charity event. What started as companionship evolved into a nearly 4-decade union, one that Oprah herself has described as a spiritual partnership, rather than a conventional marriage or family structure. Unlike many celebrity relationships, theirs was rooted in mutual respect, shared values, and an emphasis on personal growth, elements Oprah had long spoken about in terms of her own development. They supported one another's work and autonomy, with Stedman establishing his own identity leadership work, and Oprah continuing to expand hers. They never married, and Oprah has openly explained why. While she valued being asked, she did not want the sacrifices and compromises that marriage would have required, particularly given the demanding rhythm of her career. Both agreed that their choice, unconventional by traditional standards, was authentic to their partnership and supported their individual missions in life. Oprah's inner life has also been deeply shaped by her spiritual curiosity. Beyond her early religious grounding in Mississippi, she has explored what it means to live a life of meaning, connection, and self-awareness. Through series like Super Soul Sunday, she brought contemplative and philosophical conversations into the mainstream, speaking with spiritual teachers, authors, and thinkers about life's most enduring questions: purpose, suffering, identity, and mindfulness. These dialogues invited viewers to consider the inner life as more than private reflection, but as a form of shared exploration and collective awakening. Her approach to mental well-being reflects both candor and evolution. Oprah has remarked that she never formally sought therapy, instead working through aspects of her life and challenges in public conversation, particularly on her show when such topics were once considered taboo. This openness, speaking about emotional struggle, resilience, and self-care, helped normalize difficult conversations for millions. In her private moments, whether walking through a garden, reading, or sharing a simple meal with Stedman, Oprah's life reflects a blend of introspection and purpose, one that balances ambition with a search for inner harmony. Her journey inward, like her journey outward, reminds us that a life of impact is as much about growth of spirit, self-understanding, and connection as it is about public achievement. Chapter 14. Moments that mattered. Across more than 4 decades in the public eye, Oprah Winfrey has become synonymous with moments that didn't just make headlines, but shifted how people think and talk about the world. Her interviews and conversations on The Oprah Winfrey Show did more than entertain. They often became cultural touchstones, influencing public discourse on identity, celebrity, vulnerability, and power. Viewed in hindsight, these moments mark a unique era in American media, an era in which a single conversation could echo far beyond the broadcast itself. One of the most unforgettable moments in television history occurred in 1993, when Oprah traveled to Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch for an extended interview with the reclusive pop star. Jackson, notoriously private, spoke with an openness that captured the attention of the world. This broadcast, seen by tens of millions of viewers, became one of the most watched television interviews of all time, not because it pried into gossip, but because it revealed the humanity behind immense fame. In 2005, another interview became instantly part of pop culture lore when Tom Cruise appeared on the show and leapt onto Oprah's couch to proclaim his love for then-girlfriend Katie Holmes. The moment, spontaneous, unrestrained, and widely discussed, was one of the early examples of how television clips could ripple across emerging digital platforms, predating viral clips on social media. It showed that even light-hearted interactions could define a show's cultural imprint. Not all landmark moments revolved around levity. In 2009, Oprah sat down with Whitney Houston in a deeply candid conversation about her struggles with addiction and personal pain, illustrating how the show could be a space for vulnerability rather than performance. Likewise, when Barack and Michelle Obama appeared on the show, first during his presidential campaign and later as President and First Lady, the conversation moved beyond politics into personal values, family, and leadership, strengthening the connection between media and civic life. These dialogues helped frame political figures as people, fostering empathy in ways conventional news interviews rarely did. Beyond individual interviews, Oprah helped shape social conversations on topics once considered taboo on daytime television: mental health, racial inequality, body image, and systemic injustice. Through The Oprah Winfrey Show and later programs like Super Soul Sunday, she broadened the scope of public discourse to include spiritual inquiry, emotional healing, and ethical reflection, encouraging audiences to hold deeper conversations about what it means to live a meaningful life. The enduring cultural weight of these moments is reflected in exhibitions such as Watching Oprah, The Oprah Winfrey Show and American Culture, which opened at the Smithsonian's National Museum of African American History and Culture. There, curators traced how Oprah's conversations mirrored and influenced social evolution in America, especially around race, gender, and the mass media. In retrospect, the significance of these encounters lies not in celebrity alone, but in Oprah's consistent ability to elevate human experience within cultural conversation, reminding us that every story, celebrity, political, or personal, holds the potential to shape the way we see each other and ourselves. Chapter 15. Legacy in Motion. By the time Oprah Winfrey stepped away from The Oprah Winfrey Show in 2011, she had already transcended the role of talk show host to become a symbol of influence in media, education, and cultural dialogue. Her legacy is not contained within ratings or awards alone, but in the lasting impact she has had on how stories are told, how marginalized voices are heard, and how individuals imagine their own possibilities. One of the most tangible aspects of Oprah's legacy is her transformation of the media landscape. She redefined daytime television by centering authenticity, emotional depth, and personal narrative long before such qualities became hallmarks of modern digital storytelling. Unlike the sensational or purely entertainment-driven formats that preceded her, Oprah's programs encouraged viewers to examine their inner lives and confront social issues with empathy. In doing so, she shaped not just what content was created, but how audiences engaged with it, creating a shared space where reflection and connection were valued as much as information or amusement. Her influence also extends deeply into education and empowerment. Through initiatives such as the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa, she demonstrated a steadfast belief that access to quality education can break cycles of poverty and equip future leaders with the tools to shape their communities. Opened in 2007, the Academy reflects Oprah's conviction that opportunity must be cultivated deliberately and generously, especially for those historically denied it. Equally significant is the cultural and social empowerment Oprah has fostered, particularly among women and African American communities. As one of the first African American women to own and control her own media company, she became a beacon of possibility in an industry long dominated by white, male executives. Her success dismantled stereotypes and opened doors for others to envision themselves in leadership roles across media, business, and public life. In this sense, Oprah's legacy cannot be separated from the broader narrative of Black achievement and female leadership in the late 20th and early 21st centuries. Beyond institutional accomplishments, Oprah's influence resides in the language of lived experience she helped legitimize in public discourse. Her willingness to speak openly about trauma, resilience, and spiritual inquiry on mainstream platforms encouraged countless individuals to explore their own inner lives and to seek healing as a collective endeavor. This cultural shift toward vulnerability, self-reflection, and mutual empathy has become a distinct thread in contemporary media and public conversation. Ultimately, Oprah Winfrey's legacy is not static. It continues to evolve through the people she has inspired, the institutions she has shaped, and the dialogues she initiated. She stands not merely as one person's story of achievement, but as an ongoing influence, a testament to the power of media to elevate human dignity, expand opportunity, and affirm that leadership can arise from even the most humble beginnings. Her legacy is alive not only in awards and networks, but in the countless minds and hearts she has encouraged to reimagine what is possible. Epilogue: The quiet power of a voice. In the gentle twilight of her life's extraordinary arc, Oprah Winfrey stands as a figure shaped not only by public achievement, but by the quiet persistence of her own voice. From the red clay streets of Kosciuszko, Mississippi, to the global stages of media, literature, and cultural dialogue, her journey has spanned decades and continents, touching millions with the simple yet profound act of listening as much as speaking. What began in humble beginnings blossomed into a legacy defined by empathy, narrative power, and the belief that every person carries a story worth telling. In her later years, Oprah's life continues to reflect a blend of reflection and purposeful engagement.
She remains deeply involved in storytelling, whether through documentaries, new media, or revisitations of the classics that shaped her early artistic consciousness, such as The Color Purple. Her work in film, television, and digital platforms reflects a media figure who has grown with her audience, embracing new forms of connection while remaining true to the values that made her voice resonate. Yet the true measure of Oprah's influence is not found in the breadth of her empire, though it is vast, but in the ways she helped millions around the world reimagine their own potential. She taught audiences to see vulnerability not as weakness, but as a bridge to understanding, to see stories not as entertainment, but as mirrors reflecting shared humanity, and to see listening as an act of kindness in a world that all too often races toward judgment. In quiet moments, far from the cameras and applause, Oprah's life offers a gentle reminder that courage does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers in the spaces between words, in the patience of listening, and in the kindness extended to another human being. It is a legacy rooted in the belief that every voice matters, and that through empathy and shared narrative, we find not only connection, but meaning. And so, as this story finds its stillness, we are left with an enduring truth: that the power of a single voice, spoken with sincerity and compassion, can echo far beyond the sound of its first word, guiding others into the quiet dawn of their own possibilities.